Hey guys, what's up? Zach here. Today we are here with round number 3 of the Go-Kart Championship in 2015. So far the season's been pretty good. The first round we had 4 people going, then the second round we had 2 people going, and this third round we had 3 people going. Myself in the blue helmet and the blue overalls, which you're seeing on the left hand side of your screen. The right hand side of your screen you see my dad with the blue overalls and the white helmet, and out in front you can see Harry Popinator in the dark blue overalls and the red helmet. So there's 3 of us here today. But I was thinking actually as we were driving to the track, like the best race we had last year when it was myself, my dad and Harry were all fighting it out for a win, and that was literally the best racing that we had. And I was hoping that something similar would happen today, but obviously I realised the karts are quite different most of the time, so I was expecting it to be, well, maybe not as equal as it was last year in all honesty guys. So I was thinking we could probably snatch a win or 2 here today. Obviously we've got a 5-minute qualifying session here as well. We decided to switch it up and do 5-minute qualifying sessions instead of 10-minute qualifying sessions over the whole year. That will actually save quite a bit of money. I think it will save like something like £60 if you go for every round. So I think that's good for everyone that's racing it, to save that bit of money in qualifying, where you really just need to make sure that you get a couple of good laps in, and that can be your qualifying time here today. And actually, I don't know whether you guys have been looking over on the Twitter, which is sort of linked to the go-karting stuff, but I'm now going to be starting posting the sort of actual race times, or the amount of laps that the leader does, then the amount of time that the second place and third place, etc. are behind the leader. I'm actually going to try and start doing that now. It's alright for the first race because they give you sort of printouts of the first, or they give you printouts of all of the races, but it's kind of tricky for the second race. The first race is fine, but the second race is a little bit more tricky. Just the way they do it, it's a little bit more tricky to get the exact times between drivers in the second race, but the first race should be completely fine. So yeah, I'm going to try and do that, but just for the second race the times might not be exactly right, but I will try and get them as best as I possibly can. But you can see here on the left hand side of your screen, I was catching up to Harry here. You can see you there with his dark blue overalls and his red helmet, but I decided to back up a bit here and give a bit of a gap, because I was thinking, well, I don't want to be stuck up behind him because it's going to be quite tough to overtake him, because he's faster than a straight line, and the best place to overtake is after a big straight line. So I thought it was going to be pretty tough for me to actually catch up Harry here. So I was thinking, give myself a bit of a gap, then go for a couple more laps. Then once I catch him again, or if I do catch him again, then I'll back off again and catch up. Or back off and then try and do another good couple of lap times, then I catch again, back off. So that's the sort of thing I was doing throughout this whole qualifying session. So I just expected it to be quite hard to overtake Harry here, just because he was so fast in a straight line, and I thought probably best for me just to stay back here, and if I do catch him, back off for 1 lap and then go for good ones after that. But if you see on the right hand side of your screen here, you can see my dad is trying to get the best lap times possible obviously here, but the last couple of laps you'd have seen not exactly perfect, so he's been trying his best to get all of the lap times in as good as possible, but at the moment he is not exactly putting in the lap times I'm assuming he'd want to be doing. But you can see this top hand turn actually my dad's going through here, the hairpin, he lifts off quite early, so maybe that's just part of the thing that was going on at the track, because I don't know whether you can really see it from the cameras, but there was actually a bit of rain coming down in this first session here. It wasn't really enough to make a huge amount of difference, but some corners were quite slippery because the track was really cold in this first session as well. You can see a lot of cloud as well, so it was literally just, it was actually quite freezing I'm not gonna lie, in this first session, this qualifying session here. So that was something that was quite tricky really, actually, to make sure that you kept sort of focus at all times, because it was really tough to get around some of the corners because your hands were absolutely freezing. So you can see as I got to the start finish line here, the start finish line is this second line here, so I need to make sure in the race I go flat out until that start finish line there. But you can see at this point there's not really much way to get past Harry, because he's just faster in a straight line and it's really tough for me to overtake. So I think this is the part you'll see in a second here. I think, yeah, you can see Harry pulls away here because I back off. I just lift off the accelerator here. You can see a couple of sort of raindrops on the camera lens there, but overall I just thought, as I said earlier on, wait up because it's going to be hard to overtake, and I want to get a good lap time in qualifying here. As we're going into the last about minute of this session here then guys, because obviously it's a 5-minute session now. Well, obviously it's not exactly timed to perfection, but it's about 5 minutes, this qualifying session. As with the races are about 10 minutes, sometimes they're a bit less, sometimes they're a bit more, just depending when they put the flag out really. But yeah, this championship's got off to a really good start. I'm actually really enjoying it. That last round you guys would have seen even though there's only 2 of us racing, it was still some of the most fun I've ever had go-karting around this track, which I think says a lot that you don't need a lot of people to make good races. Obviously, the more people that you have, that it normally does make better races, but we had a lot of luck in that last round that the racing was just good. But yeah, I think there's about 1 lap left for all of us now. You can see the rain is coming down a little bit heavier now. You can sort of hear the rain coming down on the camera, and also some more drops on the camera lens itself. So hopefully that gets cleared up, because you don't really want rain coming down in the middle of a session, just because that makes it really tricky. Because at the end of the day, that is just making the track conditions really different to where you'd expect. And say for 1 lap, it's like at a certain point in the next lap it's a lot earlier on the brakes, because otherwise you'd go spinning off. So I think this is it. 1 more lap to go now. I always get this wrong, don't I? I always get wrong which lap is the actual time that the checker flag comes out. So I think this is actually the last lap now. I should really look at the sort of the audio level on my Sony Vegas sort of preview here, because you can see by the audio level how fast you're going. If you're going sort of flat out with the engine high revving all the time, there's the checkered flag, then the engine, obviously the sort of noise will be higher. But you can see once we go across the start finish line, I back off and the sound isn't so high. So maybe in the future that's what I'll be doing. But that's the qualifying session done for everyone here. My dad just goes across the start finish line there. And that is the first qualifying, or that is the third, I should say, qualifying session of the season. Actually, no, it's the second qualifying session. How many times do I want to get it wrong? But yeah, second qualifying session of the season. And here are the results. So, qualifying results for round number 3, I did a 30.056, Harry did a 30.4, my dad did a 30.7, but actually they did make a mistake when then putting us onto the grid, because even though I got the fastest time in qualifying, they put me on 3rd place on the grid, they put Harry on pole, they basically just put us in number order. So I think they got a bit confused in terms of that, because they sent us out in order of the number of karts, not in what actually the qualifying result was. So that was a bit frustrating. But if you guys really want proof that I qualified pole, I can tweet it out or something. So yeah, I might post a link to it in the comment section of this video if you do get around to this point in the video. So yeah, I did get pole position. I was kart number 5. You can see I've just got a number 3, because I just put numbers on, like magnetic numbers, but my actual kart number is 5, and just my race number here is number 3. So you can see I've got quite close to Harry straight away. I had a good start. My dad lost a bit of time here in this first lap here. You can see I'm going defensive because I wasn't sure where my dad was. And I thought probably best to defend instead of just going wide and have the chance of my dad going down the inside here. But as you saw on his screen, he wasn't actually that close here. But Harry quite slow through there. He didn't get exact the line he wanted, and he goes a bit too fast in his turn here. He gets very sideways, and somehow he survives that without crashing into the wall or anything. That was really good stuff there from Harry to actually keep it out of the wall. He was just sliding, and maybe the fact that the track was actually slippery helped him there, because it meant that he could just slide and get back into the right direction. But now my dad's right behind me here. He's looking for a move. I was wondering where he was. I'm looking to the inside here, but he doesn't quite go past him. But my dad gets overtaken there by Harry, who goes up into 2nd place here, and now Harry's right behind me. So I'm like, at this point I wasn't really sure who was in 2nd place, so I was like, okay, what do I do now? Because if it's my dad, then I probably don't need to go defensive, because he's probably the same sort of speed as me in a straight line. But if it's Harry, then I will need to defend. But you can see I take a bit more of a defensive line in through here. And at this point I'm like, where's he? Where's Harry? And it's like, oh, he's there. So I was trying to look which way he was. I wasn't actually squeezing him out there on purpose, but it actually looked like it there. So that's a bit unfortunate in terms of that. But luckily for us, we get through there all right. And luckily we get out that with no accidents or anything, because if I'd actually pushed Harry anywhere nearer to the grass, he could have obviously had an accident or something. But luckily I did notice him just at the last second where he was. I thought he was coming past me on the outside, but then I realised he was going past me on the inside. But we've now got an overlap once again on Harry, but he gets just past as he gets to turn to the corner just a little bit before us here. And then I'm like, okay, now we've had a bad run through here. I've got to be a bit more defensive here to get, well, make sure my dad doesn't overtake me here and maybe get past Harry, but I don't quite get that done. And that's a little bit of a mistake from me, because it means that my line through there has been compromised and I've lost quite a bit of time. Now my dad right behind me once again. There's a little bit of a gap now to Harry. My dad runs a bit wide there, but I can see we closed this gap to Harry on this last sort of major turn here. I call it the last turn, even though it technically isn't, but I think it, we'll call it the last turn just because you don't really do anything for that actual last turn. It's just flat out. So anyway, I'm back up behind Harry once again. My dad's lost a bit of time here. Harry gets very sideways under the braking zone there, but luckily for us, he doesn't spin into us, and we managed to get through that without any carnage or anything. But we're right up behind Harry once again. My dad's lost a bit of time here, and look at this, we're only like 3 minutes into this race, I think, or just under 3 minutes into this race, and the racing has been absolutely great. We get down the inside of Harry once again. You can see we're very good through that final turn there, but we just can't quite get enough momentum through it. We get sort of a good run through there, but we can't get enough speed in a straight line to actually get the move done. So every time Harry gets past us around the outside, and it's a little bit frustrating at this point for me, but I'm determined that I can maybe pressure him into a mistake on that last turn and get a better run, because that is the place where I am gaining time. Also through this turn here, you can see I gained a bit of time on him, but this is the turn where I really gain on him. And this final turn here, this time he doesn't make as much of a mistake as he did before, and he gets past us before this start-finish line, which means that we've got a bad run down there straight, and my dad's right up behind us once again here, and I'm wondering where he is, and he's looking to the inside. I'm looking like, oh, he's down the inside here, so my dad overtakes me down the inside here. He managed to fight back actually after, I think it was about a 1 second gap that he had behind me at one point after making a couple of mistakes in a row. But he managed to get that gap back, and now he's in second place, and I'm like, we've got to try and get past my dad as quickly as possible. But saying that, he might be the fastest person in this race at this point, because obviously he managed to catch up to the back of me, so maybe he can get past Harry from me here. But I'm in the slipstream once again. Harry's going a bit more defensive here as he goes down this back straight. You can see he's a little bit more defensive. He'll still go a little bit wide, but he sort of goes in the middle of the track here. But I go down the inside there and manage to get back second place. My dad leaves a gap down the inside, and I managed to get back that place, and now up into second place once again. I think you guys realise now this could be the best race of the season. It's been absolutely crazy so far, really good. Now Harry makes a slight mistake through there once again, but I'm not quite close enough to capitalise on it this time. Harry's definitely the slowest out of us three down that last corner on the track, but he seems to be the best round the other half of the lap. So really it is really a race of, or a lap of two halves. I'm better around the sort of last part of the lap. Harry's good around the first part of the lap, so that's what I've got to really try and capitalise on the part where I'm actually good here. You can see I'm quite close once again here. My dad's still very, very close as well. Harry goes a little bit wide once again, and we get a good overlap this time, and we get a really good run through this time, and I think we've actually got a kart length on him here as we run through this very fast right-hander. But Harry's round the outside here once again. You can see he's going side by side. Harry, does he manage to get past here? And he does. He goes back to the inside and gets back to lead the race. You guys see what I mean here. Harry's fast in a straight line, and you can see how close it is there. 3 people there within a space of like 4 kart lengths. It's crazy how close it is here, and I think that's really good to see actually how close this kart race was. But Harry makes a mistake once again. He tries to go a bit tighter this time, but he managed to get the overlap once again, and this time my dad's right up behind us once again, so he's probably going to look to capitalise, but I'm going defensive once again. See my dad going around the outside here, and he just gets the move done, and I have to wait back in third place for a second. I do, but he leaves a gap, and I go back down the inside, and that's back into second place. This race is definitely going to make me lose my voice, but anyway, got to try and close that gap down to Harry once again here. That gap's up to about half a second, obviously with the little overtaking things with my dad, but run through there was not good from Harry. He slid once again and nearly actually hit the barrier that time, but we're hoping to just get in the slipstream here, and this could be an overtaking move possibility. But my dad's in the slipstream as well, so I'm like wondering where he is, so I have to go a bit defensive once again, then go back to the middle of the road a little bit to make sure I still get a good run through the turn. But Harry, you could say, is holding us up a little bit around this race, but it's just because he's going defensive. If he wasn't driving defensive, Harry would be going alright here, but I think he has to defend, otherwise I would be going past. But this time Harry, he leaves a bit of a gap. I try and get the overlap, but just once again I can't get enough speed through that last turn there. Well, I can get a good amount of speed, but I just can't get enough speed with my straight line speed to be anywhere near Harry down this straight. My dad trying to go around the outside here, so I have to go defensive, and then Harry once again leads this race. I mean, it's going into the last, what, 3 or 4 minutes I think now, and it's just been, I don't know whether you guys agree, but I think this has been the best race of the season so far. And now Harry leads the gap down the inside, and this time we do get past, and we do get a good sort of cut back here, and we do manage to get the overlap as well. Harry trying to go around the outside here, and my dad actually making a move down the inside of Harry here as well, so he's going to get right behind me in the slipstream here, but I'm going to try and stay. I think I've just got enough of an overlap to look down the inside here. It's very close. I managed to get the move on Harry, and Harry now tries to go down the inside, and it's quite close. There's a bit of contact. I managed to get back down the inside here. Harry's going to maybe look to the inside. No, he's not quite far enough alongside me here. Now my dad and Harry try and go side by side, but that doesn't work out. Now Harry trying to go past there. Harry just managing to keep that, and now he moves, or keeps I should say, his second place there. And now he's going to try and close me back down this straight once again. And at this point I'm just like, go defensive. I don't need to lose this race now. I've got into the lead finally. Now just stay defensive. And I know what I was thinking at this point. Just roll through this corner really. And make sure I don't take any risks. And Harry right up behind me once again. He's looking to try and get that overtake done. But as I'm going defensive now, it's sort of Constantina's up once again. So that's how the race goes. Once you get into the lead, you have to defend. Now Harry trying to go round, but he can't quite get that last corner right really. That's the corner he's struggling with on this race, and he's lost a bit of time once again. But now he'll be looking to try and get past down the straight once again. I can see I'm checking both ways. Where's Harry? I managed to keep my lead here as I go down the end of the straight here. He's right up behind me once again though. I'm having to go defensive, which is causing me to slow down, and it means Harry's right up behind us here, meaning that he can just close up once again. My dad's just left a bit of a gap here, and that's about a second I think to myself in the lead of this race. But Harry's gone wide. Harry's gone really wide. He's crashed into the tyre walls on the outside there. Harry's made a slight mistake. He was pushing a bit too hard there, and Harry has crashed into the tyre wall there and crashed maybe out of this race, depending whether he can get his kart going in time before the end of this race. But wow, what a crazy turn of events there. Harry carrying maybe I'd say a bit too much speed through that turn there, and managing to get himself into the wall there. He said to me afterwards he's never crashed at that part of the track. He's hit most of the other tyre walls but he didn't hit that one ever before. But you can see I'm slowing down the pace quite a bit here because there's quite a lot of marshals on the track here, and I'm just going quite slowly. I was sort of trying to wait up for Harry, see whether he can get in front of us here, to see whether he doesn't get lapped here, but that wasn't the case. So Harry does get lapped here as we head into, I'd say, the last 3 or 4 laps. Probably completely wrong, but anyway, my dad's sort of going a bit attacking now, as he can see that he's maybe got more of a realistic chance of winning this race now, because he doesn't have to get past Harry and lose that time. But the yellow flag's out once again, and we have to slow down. I didn't slow down as much this time. I just sort of went at half throttle this time and just went right to the inside because there weren't as many marshals on the track. Or well, actually, Harry's kart wasn't in the middle of the track, so I thought we'd go a little bit fast here. But obviously, I don't want to go too fast. That's the whole thing. I was trying to make sure that my dad didn't gain time throughout the zone, the sort of yellow flag zone. That's why I slowed down, but maybe not as much as the lap before, because Harry's kart was like in the middle of the track there. But anyway, I think we've got 2 fast laps after this thing, guys, so it's going to be tough. The yellow flag's out once again, so it assumes they're still putting the tyres back on the track here. You see a marshal in the middle of the track there at this point, so I'm going right to the inside, managing to keep the lead of the race. But my dad has closed up over the last lap or so here, and I've had a bad run. I didn't really put the throttle down at the right point here, and my dad's going on the attack. I'm trying to go for the overtake round the outside possibly. I'm going defensive, like I've pretty much put a load of overtakes in, and I really wanted to win this race. If I won this race, I think it might be possibly the best race I've ever had in the sort of 1.5 seasons we've done so far. So you can see around the yellow flag zone, this is the last time I think we're going to go to the yellow flag zone, and this is the last lap of the race here then, guys, as we go up to turn 1 for the last time, I should say. My dad not really close enough, but I'm going defensive here because I'm not sure where my dad is. I think he's probably right behind me here, so just go defensive, don't leave a chance to overtake. Right, they get quite sideways up at the top hairpin there, but luckily no spin or anything. That would have been a disaster, wouldn't it, spinning on the last lap of the race. The yellow flags are in, and I did sort of back off there a little bit because I wasn't sure whether the yellow flags were still out, because he was sort of still standing in the middle of the track. There's still a marshal actually on the outside of the track there, but there's the checker flag. I managed to win the round number 3, race 1. My dad managed to catch up right behind there, but I can see I'm celebrating a lot because that was a really important win for me there, because I thought I had to really fight for that win, and that's exactly what I did. But there's the race results for round number 3 there. I won by 0.68 seconds there over my dad. Then Harry was 1 lap behind, obviously, after his crash. But anyway, race number 2 is ready, and the lights are going to out any second. There we are, they're out, and away we go here. We've got a reverse grid for this second race here. I didn't get the greatest of starts here. Maybe I just didn't get the throttle down just as the lights went out here. Maybe those guys just got a better initial launch there, but into turn 1, Harry gets very sideways there, but luckily he keeps it out the barriers. Obviously, remember on the first couple of laps of the first race, Harry got very sideways through this corner right here, but luckily this time he gets sideways, but not quite as sideways. You can see sparks flying up actually at the back of my dad's kart there as he got over the curb, and the metal hitting the ground and obviously putting up a few sparks. So now we're running up through the first turn, my dad's right up in the slipstream here of Harry, and he's hoping to get past him as we head up into the top hairpin here, but he can't quite get the move done. Harry goes a bit later on the brakes, but gets quite sideways. Luckily doesn't hit the barriers there, so that's good for him, obviously, because he doesn't want to hit the barriers. But my dad's trying to go one way, then the next try and overtake Harry here, as Harry's defending quite well and making sure that he doesn't do anything silly and doesn't put it in the wall like he did in the first race there. But Harry's in a good position here to possibly get another win. Obviously he got a 1 last year in I can't remember which round, it was like round number 5 or number 6 of last season, so this would be good for him to get some points and get a win in one of the first races of the season so far, which would be pretty important for him. But you can see now he's maybe gapped my dad by a little bit, but it's just tiny margins like it has been in the other race, and also round number 2 as well. There's a tiny margin between everyone, which I think is great. Hopefully that's what the next rounds are like as well, that is just so close, but who knows what it's going to be like, as every round is very different. And anyway, going up to this top hairpin here, my dad's a little bit in the slipstream of Harry, but can't quite get the move done. I mean, I probably could have tried to go for a big sort of lunge down the inside of my dad, but I don't know, I don't think it would have worked out, because it would have probably hurt both of our races really, instead of actually helping. So sparks flying out once again as my dad goes over the curb. He's running a bit wider through there, so maybe his car isn't quite steering exactly how he'd want, but down the straight here he's doing a good job getting a good run through that final turn. You can see he's right up in the slipstream of Harry here. Is he going to look for the move down the inside? Well, once again, no, he's not going to be able to look for a move down the inside, but Harry makes a slight mistake here. Are they going to run side by side? Not quite there. And my dad tried to look around the outside there, but there wasn't really enough space, and Harry managing to defend once again. He's having to put in a really big effort here to just defend from everyone throughout this whole race. He's obviously got good pace, but as it showed in the first race, you've got to have good pace and defend at the same time, so it's really tough as my dad goes side by side with Harry here. Harry goes around the outside here, and you can see I'm right up in the slipstream. My dad's, I've got a good run. I started to push my dad down the straight here and try and get him down the inside here, and he manages to get the lead of the race. So I don't know whether the slight bump draft that I did actually helped, but who knows. But you can see I'm actually going to get a bumping or no bumping sign there. Well, let's be honest, guys, I did ask my dad, and he said he didn't even realise that I did push him down the straight, because it was such a sort of, I just sort of slowly pushed down the inside of Harry, but luckily no crashing or anything. So once again, we're into a position where my dad's leading, Harry's in second place, and I'm in third place. But Harry's looking down the inside here, he's got a gap, and he's managed to get past my dad, who left a bit of a gap there, and maybe not really realising that Harry was so close there. So now he's got to try and do all that hard work once again to get past Harry, but my dad's quite slow through there. You can see he lost a bit of time to Harry, but around this final turn here, you can see Harry gets quite sideways a lot of the time here, and now we're both right up in the slipstream of Harry, so is my dad going to be able to do the same move once again? Harry defending, is he going to have enough of an overlap? Well, he does have an overlap, but is my dad going to be able to look down the inside here? Well, he's looking, but there isn't really a gap. Once again, it puts Harry off a little bit there, because he's sliding all over the place, but luckily we get all through that once again. But how close does this race want to be? I mean, this is exactly what we wanted from this championship. Last season, we didn't have too many races like this, but this season it was good. And now my dad's made contact with Harry, and oh, I nearly hit into my dad there as he sort of pulls back to the left-hand side of the track, but luckily I just managed to jam the brakes on in time. I nearly slid. I'm just giving my dad the thumbs up to ask whether he's alright there, and he said he was. So now we're back racing once again, but we've got like a 3 or a 4 second gap, I'd say, to Harry in front now, so we've got to really close that gap down. And I think, honestly, guys, this was where my fastest laps in this race were done, in this part of the race right here. We're at pretty much the midpoint of this race here, so I was like, alright, now we've got to really push. This is an important time for this race, because if we don't push now, we probably won't catch Harry, and we might not have a chance of getting this win. It didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, I'd already got the points for pole position, even though I didn't start on pole position, but I did get the fastest lap in qualifying. That's what the points are for. And Harry obviously having a good first race until his accident, and I think he probably can pull off this race win, but he needs to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake as that first race, because otherwise it could end in disaster, and he might end up another lap down, which obviously wouldn't be what he'd want. But yeah, this race, as I said in the qualifying session, it's been really good. I can't believe actually how good these races were. I mean, I expected 3 people like racing. It wouldn't probably be the best, it would probably just get spread out, but it actually ended up being the best racing, in my opinion, that we've ever had in this championship. So I'm really happy about that, and hopefully this sort of thing can continue for future rounds. But anyway, back to the point and back to the racing. I'm actually closing into Harry here. I've closed that gap, which was about 3 or 4 seconds, down to, I'd say, about 1.5 seconds now, as Harry maybe going a bit defensive and realising that I was actually dropped back quite a bit. So he's probably defending and losing time, but actually I wasn't right behind him, so it wasn't actually being beneficial here. So maybe that's what was happening to Harry here. Maybe the second race where it was actually a bit warmer here, so maybe the karts maybe not suiting his style of driving, which I think is a bit more aggressive on some of the turns. You'll see through this final turn, here he goes, he sort of throws the kart into the final turn, gets a bit sideways sometimes. I think that's maybe not as beneficial on the warmer surface, obviously, because it makes the tyres maybe overheat, but it's only karting, so maybe it doesn't really mean that much. But anyway, we've closed that gap down to Harry to, I'd say, about half a second now. The gap has come down, and now is my chance. We've got about 4 minutes of this race to go, so that's about 8 laps. And you can see my dad slowing down a bit here. He said towards the end of this race here that he was getting a bit tired, obviously, because we had our races in quite quick succession this time. As I go down the inside of Harry, do I manage to get the overtake done? I think it's going to be quite close. Maybe Harry goes around the outside once again. I get a bit sideways over the curbs. I'm not really focusing on where Harry is, but have I got the move done? No, you can just see Harry just manages to get past here and back into the lead race. But anyway, what I was saying, we had our qualifying and the 2 races in quick succession. We literally had them like qualifying, like a 2 or 3 minute break, race 1, 2 or 3 minute break, race 2. So my dad was saying he was a bit tired after this second race, well, sort of halfway through the second race. Then once he realised he'd lost quite a bit of a gap to me, he was like, I'm probably not going to get anything above 3rd anyway, so there's not really any point risking it, especially with the championship as well. You don't want to throw it away, and you know, if Harry crashed, for example, my dad could still capitalise, because if Harry ends up in the wall or I end up in the wall, then he's still going to get past anyway, even if he was going slow or fast. So he slowed down a bit here, and that's the reason why you can see he's lost quite a bit of time to us now. But I hit the tyre wall on the inside there. If you looked at my screen, I just hit the tyre wall ever so slightly, and that lost us a bit of time here. You can see I was looking up, seeing if they were going to give me like a no sort of bumping board or something for hitting into the tyre wall, but luckily they didn't. So once again, we've got to try and overtake Harry down or up to this top hairpin here, but there's just not enough of a space, and we can't get past him there. And we have to sort of sit back in second place and hope that we can maybe go around the outside. No, there's no way we're going to get past around the outside there. But we've still got a couple of laps here to possibly get past Harry and get a double win and a pole position, which sort of would be the ultimate lockout of everything. Getting obviously pole position, qualifying, and pole position, race 1 and race 2. That would obviously be just like the ultimate lockout. But getting right up in the slipstream of here, Harry once again. We're looking to the inside, braking a little bit later here. Do we get the move done? We got a bit sideways all over the place here. Harry managed to get past. I do leave him space, because in this series we try and make sure that the racing is just as clean as possible. Obviously from time to time there will be a couple of accidents, but we do try and really make sure the racing is clean. So, you know, if there's someone just alongside you here, you give them a space. I mean, it's obviously not as competitive. It's not like we're going for like the F1 World Championship or something here. So we just want to make sure the racing is clean and fun and enjoyable. So yeah, you can see once again Harry, he managed to just get good speed down a straight line, and it was so frustrating. I think there was a bit of contact there with Harry as I tried to look to the inside of the corner there, but there really wasn't enough space, and I think I left my braking a tad too late, and it meant that I did slightly hit the back of Harry's kart there here. But you can see my dad's sort of really just going around quite slowly here, because he's like, let's just not do anything silly. This could be some good points, and we don't need to really push too hard on these last couple of laps of the races here. So he was going fast at some points, but just making sure that he didn't spin off and hurt himself. So that's really the most important thing, that we all get out of this, all get out the karts all right. And Harry actually was saying he was, you know, hurting a little bit after the race, but Dad was a bit unsure at this point because the marshal was there with the flag, but he wasn't waving it. So my dad thought here at this point that the flag was actually being waved, but he actually wasn't. But there we are. That is the actual end of the race for at least myself and Harry. But my dad's still going around at this point quite slowly. I'm not too sure what he's doing. So, he's not sure what's happening. But anyway, I say well done to Harry here, and when he realises I'm there, I give him a thumbs up and say well done to Harry there. So yeah, it's good for Harry. I mean, obviously he hadn't been karting in a bit of time actually, since I think December, so like 3 or 4 months. I can't remember exactly the exact date, but it could have been quite late on in the December or quite early on in December, so nearly 3 or 4 months. So quite a big win for him there, and nice to see him back in the championship. Obviously Harry only took part in I think 4 rounds last year and picked up, I think it was 8th place in the championship. But anyway, there are the race 2 results. There you can see I managed to finish 0.270 seconds behind Harry. He finished 20 laps there, and I was 0.270 behind. And my dad actually, it was classed as 1 lap down, but yeah, he wasn't really a lap down, but that's what they classed it as. But anyway, the standings after round number 3, I'm on 83 points, my dad's on 70 points, Tim's on 35 points. Harry, after a good performance there, managed to get 25 points and get himself into 4th place. And Tom in 5th place there on 20 points. So anyway guys, I'll see you in about 2 or 3 weeks time, probably 3 weeks time, for more of this Go-Kart Championship. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video nonetheless. And then until next time, it's been Axe, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.